Steve, let's get into January 6th. Let's play a full screen 8 and see, what is this? Is this footage or is this just a picture?
So we got some full screens of Steve at the Capitol and then some of him getting arrested.
So Steve, describe, I mean, we only have, half an hour left in the show, but tell us, what was it like that day? Because when I talk to my friends, they say that it was like a festival or something. It was like a very kind of fun atmosphere. It wasn't this well thought out plan to overthrow the government. I mean, isn't that absurd that they say that people were organized and that they knew that they were going to overthrow the government?
If they were organized to overthrow the government, why'd they bring sticks and flagpoles and bear spray?
Yeah, and there's no guns.
Against 2 fully armed law enforcement departments and SWAT teams from every 3-letter agency was there.
Undercovers as well.
Undercovers were there. It was, I mean, this whole idea of an insurrection, I'm just telling you, bear spray, flagpoles, sticks, a baseball bat does not an insurrection make against, all of these other heavy firepower.
Well, you just reminded me, what about there was one guy that shot a gun and then they looked at his tweets and it looked like he had made tweets joking that he was some sort of federal informant. Do you know what I'm referencing?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it took a long time. It took 3 years for them to even figure out, that video was a long time in coming. Somebody had leaked it a long time ago. It was ignored or missed, or it just didn't resonate that somebody was hanging on a piece of scaffolding and, fired a weapon into the air. But that did happen. Now, there were other people that carried weapons illegally into the Capitol that day. Yeah. Several of them have been found out. Some of them have been convicted of that crime. But the most important part of this story, if we're talking about firearms, is that none of those protesters, thank God, used a firearm against a cop, because then I think that we would have lost the Second Amendment by now.
Wow, that would have been really strong.
I believe that.
But and then you look at the people that died, Roseanne Boylan, who was a patriot, and then Ashli Babbitt, who was a veteran, and they shot her like she was a stray dog. And, they shot her like she was nothing. Makes me so sick. So were you near Ashli Babbitt, or did you see any of that when you were inside the Capitol?
I was very close. I was across, basically on a parallel hallway from the other side of the House chamber from her. And when she was shot, but I was there when all the guns came out.
Yeah,
and that's in my. If anybody can go to the Blaze, our YouTube channel, go to Blaze TV and look for our Truth About January 6th series, and they can see my 37 minutes in the Capitol.
Yeah, that series is very successful. Everybody needs to go watch. It's got
we have it all in there.
Yeah, it's great.
And then you will see that when I walked out of the Capitol, that the first thing I did is I posted up at the south door.
Okay.
Because I passed Ashli being worked on by FBI medics. Wow. I mean, she was right there, and I'm walking by, and I see her being worked on. I thought it was a guy, actually, because all I could see was jeans.
And it was probably mainly men. I know there was women there, but you just probably assume.
But you just don't think of a woman getting shot. Yeah. And the cop that was a little tiny female Capitol police officer was escorting me out. And I said, is he shot? I said, is he shot? She said, yes, he is. I said, who shot him? She said, we did. I said, why'd you shoot him? He pulled a gun on us. Well, see, she didn't know. All she heard was what she heard on the radio. And what did Lieutenant Michael Byrd say after he shot her? He said, we're being fired on and we returned shots. Yeah. So all of the cops in the building now pull their guns out, and because they think they're being fired on, right? So she didn't know any better. The fog of war, disinformation, all that kind of crap that was going on. So she escorts me to the door, and as I'm leaving the south exit or entrance of the Capitol, and having just passed by whoever they were working on, because I couldn't see anything but boots and jeans and blood, and then somebody doing chest compressions, and then the EMTs were coming in with the gurney. Yeah. So, what goes in must come out. So I did my reporter thing. I went down the ramp, and I came up and posted right outside the door. Exactly a minute later, the doors open after I post up and have the camera running. 30 seconds after that, they're escorting with the long guns and everything, the stretcher, the gurney out. They're still working on her feverishly. And then I start following them down the wheelchair ramp with my camera, and then you can hear me on my own camera go, holy shit, it's a woman.
Yeah, wow.
And then I could see, and her head was leaned over my direction, The eyes were blank. She was gone, and I could see that it was a female, and I could see the bare breast at that point. And then I actually, you can hear me on my camera say, she's not going to make it. She's gone. I actually say she's gone.
Yeah. Well, you can tell. I mean, you could just tell, lifeless body. Now, what is gosh, this episode's been so great. We're already, it's already almost over. We haven't really been able to get into it a lot, but tell us about your arrest. So you said it earlier, it took about 3 years to decide to charge you with a misdemeanor. Now, how did you get in? They obviously let you in. So what are they charging you with? Because I don't think that you broke down a door to get in, right? You just walked in.
I walked in after hundreds of people had already gone into the Capitol.
So you just walked in.
I just got in line.
Yeah.
I got in line and followed people in. The difference between myself and so many others is I didn't chant or parade or picket. I wasn't wearing any political gear. I was, just go watch it. I behaved myself professionally. You can see me getting away from the crowd, getting up and above them and videoing what's going on. I'm obviously chronicling what's taking place among the crowd and the participants in the protest or whatever. And then at one point, you can even see me go lean against the wall, set my backpack down. I had a tripod, and I had my man on the street.
You set up your tripod?
No, I didn't set up my tripod, but I set my backpack that had the tripod in it. I set it down, and then I leaned against the wall, and I start taking notes.
Did you have any service? I thought people didn't have service.
No, I couldn't get service. It was, in fact, the texts that I was sending out, they all delivered about 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock that afternoon. All went out at one time.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Hey, Steve, sorry to interrupt, but is it true that a New York Times reporter walked in at the same time as you did and was never charged? I read that online.
Oh no, New Yorker, New York Times. We've chronicled over 60 currently. When we finish, if we have to get this from the government, there's going to be somewhere between 80 and 100 other journalists actually entered the restricted space from outside.
That never got charged and never
got charged. And we're talking about freelancers, stringers, independents, bloggers,
all kinds of people,
podcasters,
content creators, from the
content
gamut,
creators, as well as mainstream, New York Times, New Yorker. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, down the line. I mean, we've been documenting all of these.
Well, but aren't you worried that eventually they might charge those people? Because I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're going to continue to charge people.
They're only going to charge the conservative.
They are. Okay.
Because they've already jailed.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you are right. I don't think they're going to go after like the New York Times or New Yorker people. But I do think like Isabella DeLuca got charged like years after. Like they are going to keep going after people. I don't think they're ever going to stop.
There's a statute of limitations that runs out in January 26.
That's when it runs out.
But I have a feeling that if in fact, I'll just predict it. If Harris wins this election, they'll manipulate and pass some sort of new law or whatever to extend the statute of limitations so that they can round up that total 3,500 people they want to charge.
Wow.
I'm so fly, I'm aligned with the planes. My grind so refined, I got no time for no games. Ask yourself